Well, we should holler at the people. See this right here?
Yeah.
You can see the cloudiness, right?
Yeah,
Because it's unfiltered.
Look at this.
How many of you a little science lesson, right? If you're buying apple juice, you're buying fruit juices, and your fruit juice is crystal clear, you can see straight through it, that means there's no nutrition in it. It means it's devoid of anything healthy for you. The cloudier, unfiltered shit, it's all the yummies. It's all the goodness with vodka. So
and if this was bothering me, I would know it by now.
yeah, and this, by the way, this goddamn shit is straight from my trees, right out the store.
Straight vodka, right?
I hand-picked them. I hand-pressed them. It's Svedka vodka.
Svedka's good.
Yeah, I infuse it for about a week, and then I'll bottle it. And of course, I took that. I gave you some at the Oh Shit Supercast one. I don't know what this is gonna be called. The Oh Shit Minicast. I think it's what it's gonna be called because it'll be half the time, and we're missing one person. But more power to. We should give a little, to the homies for Pete because he's gonna show up. SuperChimp210. Holler at SuperChimp210. He's on Twitter. I'm sure he's having a good time in some other parallel dimension right now.
Pete's crazy.
Yeah, I love Pete, man. He's a cool ass dude. It's like, people don't understand how cool it is. I mean, really, like, I'll put this on record. Like, to be able to connect with a random person, like, totally random. Like, old school classified style. You probably don't even know this. People used to, like, date by putting a class, like responding to classified ads. It was the Craigslist. And, but just to randomly meet up with a handful of people in our town and from the Colin show, there are a bunch of cool ass people there. And it's kind of cool to be around people who are just naturally, they're just open-minded. It doesn't mean you have to agree on everything, but you can have disagreements, and it's all good. Because no one's ego is so out of control that they assume everything they say is absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's been enough psychedelics spread out amongst everybody that your ego just can't do it.
Yeah, and I think meeting someone that's not from your environment, someone you don't know, maybe puts you in check that way too, because you're not as comfortable because it's someone that you don't know where they're from, you don't know, maybe you're not from the side of town they live on or whatever it is, or even from the same state or country. And that makes you kind of realize that, okay, it's a wide spectrum of people and experiences there's no way you can feel like you have been through it all, And a lot of people feel like they have when they stay in their own bubble, stay at the same job, the same 5 friends or whatever it is.
And they think that's all reality is.
Yeah, I think that's it. They don't.
And who fucking cares? The NSA's spying on them the whole time. No one cares. Your cable TV's on. Who the fuck cares, right? It's funny you say that about the connections because we've talked about this where like when you listen to these podcasts, part of the beauty to me and the art of it and the experience is hearing people from, just like you said, the broadest range of humans possible. Like, so you can have someone like Joey Diaz on one end, and then you could have someone like Bolelli. Yeah, Bolelli on another side of the spectrum. And I like listening to both of them. So like that's a big shout out to Church of What's Happening Now. Every Monday and Wednesday morning, go fuck yourself if you're not listening to it. Listen to that shit. Make a breakfast. Get your 30 grams of protein within 1 hour. Get some healthy fats. Get your bulletproof coffee. MCT oil. I've got that over there.
I got
the ice cream maker. I'm making bulletproof fucking ice cream this weekend. Making babies. And, she ain't making no babies. We'll make some more dogs. And, but like, Church What's Happening, man, like, seriously, like, I don't know if everyone sees it, and you tell me, because you listen to it, it's really inspirational. Like, he's saying a lot of things that a lot of people really, really need to hear. Yeah. And they probably never heard anywhere else.
He does. And for me, he just I listen to it just pure entertainment. I think he's just a hilarious guy.
He's loaded out. He's
and
awesome.
Podcasting is the closest thing you can have to being with the person and talking to them or being around them. So I listen to it almost just as he puts me in a good mood because he has the fuck it attitude.
Yeah.
And he's just hilarious to listen to. and people who maybe listen to him and try and, oh, is this a true story, or is this, who is this guy, and they try and dissect everything he says, they may find faults in him or something. If you listen to it that way, I don't think you may enjoy it as much as just, this is a really funny guy.
It's a really good point.
Yeah, he's just a really funny guy, and I think people have kind of called out Rogan for Dice Clay and being a yes man to Dice Clay, like saying, oh, you don't, dude, you should call him out. But Dice Clay's a personality who just, he is who he is. And if you can't, I think Rogan just looks at it as, he's a really funny guy to be around. I enjoy his presence. I just think he's funny. He doesn't look at it as, oh, I support everything this guy says, or I think this guy is a role model or anything. He just enjoys being around him. He makes him laugh. And it's just that simple. And that's how I look at Joey Diaz. He makes me laugh. He's just kind of like a buddy that he's not someone you want to model your life after, but at the same time, he does provide some.
It's like
some guidance on. For
but it seems like maybe that's part of a. Dude, wait, Dice Clay. I want to say this first because
a lot of people think he's a douchebag.
This is really interesting you brought this up because here's the deal. I was raised in I have two brothers, and we're all 6 years apart. So 666, it's the Demon Brothers, straight from hell.
What the fuck?
And 6 years apart. And, but my older brother, which is really cool, I don't know, do you have other siblings?
Yeah, older sister.
Okay, but not older brother?
No, twin brother, older sister.
So anyone else watching, listening, which I'm sure no one is that, is if you've got an older brother, you get a lot of additional insight that other people don't have. They don't have an older brother.
Yeah.
Because even if they're not being the older brother where they're trying to teach you, they want to be the cool older brother. As a younger brother, you know what you want to be? You always want to be like your older brother. I'm breaking into my brother's room. I'm picking his lock. I'm breaking into he had a little safe that he kept all of his tapes in,
You're hearing about his experiences.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is why when
conversation with your parents.
I'm 8 years old. One of my favorite tapes is Two Life Crew. I mean, get the fuck with the program. This is because my older brother had it. NWA. I love NWA. I love Eazy-E. I love all this old school gangster rap. And it's all because of my older brother. But, it's cool. All right, we'll check this shit out. Well, he was a huge Dice fan growing up.
Oh, really?
So, I had this, respect for him because, my older brother always liked him. So I'm like, well, Dice has got to be a cool-ass dude. My older brother liked him, you know what I mean? And so, my older brother really, you don't understand, he really liked him. And so I put him, from the Rogan perspective, and I go, I think the way Rogan talks about him, and I'm speaking without any knowledge except for listening to everything you've heard, but it seems like this is someone he looked up to in a professional sense.
100%.
Yeah. So now imagine being around your mentor.
He was someone that encouraged him to go on the road.
That's it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So what are you going to do to that person? You respect that you let those kind of people do whatever the fuck they want to do because you look up to them so much. And there's people like that I know that if you're sitting here, you pull out a cigarette, you start smoking in my house, I'm going to say you can't do that. You got to put that shit out. But if you're one of maybe 2 or 3 people in the world that I respect, this is an ultimate thing, I'm going to go, well, I guess you're going to smoke a cigarette in my house because you're I'm not going to say anything to your Dice Clay. I'm supposed to tell you to put your fucking cigarette out? Dice fucking Clay.
You taught me more than I could ever repay for or something like that.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'll clean up the cigarette smell. I'll deal with it. It's not going to kill you. And you know what? Seriously, most people that get crazy about secondhand smoke and they act like they're gonna die, they need to go fuck themselves because they're not gonna die. If you're one out of a million who's asthmatic, severe, and you're gonna go into some sort of seizure, you need to stay in your own fucking house.
You shouldn't be around cars.
Yes, right, because the air that you breathe in any urban environment, I don't think is much safer than secondhand smoke.
Oh yeah, no.
Actually,
and going back to Dice Clay, there's a beauty to somebody that type of character.
Fuck yeah, there is.
He's not perfect, and that's what.
But who is?
I think also if people know him from Joe Rogan's podcast, he's being the character that he is on stage. I don't know if he's 100% like that in real life. He probably is to a degree. I bet he is pretty similar to that, but he's probably embellishing it a little bit. He feels like he's on stage when he's on that podcast because he knows a million people are listening. So what do you? I mean, he's gonna fulfill that role that he's been so successful with in entertaining people. So I mean, people need to realize that too.
And maybe he's doing whatever the fuck he wants to do, however he wants to do it, and either you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. You don't want to be called a cunty bitch or, what? Then you shouldn't listen to Dice Clay. And definitely don't try to heckle him.
Yeah.
He'll
there's a
fuck
funny.
you up.
If anyone wants to see like the other side of people who don't like him, I would listen to the Sklar brothers. You know the Sklar brothers?
No.
They're
where are
twin
they?
brothers. They're comedians. You ever watched Cheap Seats on ESPN Classic?
No.
Okay. You should look them up. Look
I'm
up
looking
the
up right
Sklar brothers, Dice Clay. Do you recognize them?
Yeah, I do recognize them.
They have a funny story about how Arsenio Hall at the Comedy Store, or one of the...
I love Arsenio, by the way.
Brought them up. Awesome. Really nice guy. Then the next night, or I don't know if it was the next night, but Dice Clay was supposed to bring them up. And he went like an hour long.
Of course he
did. And then
did.
he said, "Who the fuck is next?" The Sklar brothers basically trashed them and said and then while they were doing their set, he came back out and it's a different perspective, and I could see why somebody might not like Dice Clay because of
absolutely
like
there's lots of reasons.
Yeah, but you got to understand he is who he is, and if you can't deal with that, you are gonna have a problem with him, And I could understand why some people they're not in a position to be the little brother to him, like Rogan is maybe. But as a podcast fan or as a listener, to me it's, hey, if you don't think he's funny, then you shouldn't listen to the episode. You shouldn't. Otherwise, don't complain about it. If you don't think he's funny, you don't think he's funny, and that's it. Don't sit here and try and dissect the morality of Andrew Dice Clay or who he is as a person, because you're gonna find a lot of faults, and that's okay. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, it's definitely okay, and it seems like there's something kind of just ridiculous about someone who's gonna obsess about the person behind an artistic expression.
Yeah.
So if you are assuming that every comedian and every joke they're saying is honest, that's an expression of who they actually are, you're beyond silly. You're so out of touch with reality. It's art. It's if someone paints, and I love old, I went to the Prado Museum in Madrid in Spain, and Goya paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And Goya has this great painting, and I have a big print I did of it when I took the picture of the original. It was a monster eating babies, I think it was, in my head, the picture. But this is just this person's expression.
Yeah.
I like the expression.
At one moment in time.
There's an artist who did this shirt. It's John Langford. He's this German dude, but I think he comes in and out of Austin.
Okay.
And it's Day of the Dead. I'm a huge... I'll show you over here. Can you see up there on the top shelf?
Mm-hmm.
See the Day of the Dead people?
Dia de los
Muertos. We do Dia de los Muertos altar. And so, when Day of the Dead comes around November 1st and 2nd, we'll reorganize it. I'll put photos of family members who have passed away and, just a time to remember these people.
Yeah.
My point is that people have different perspectives. But it's still art. It's still art. And to go into this weird obsession about the person behind it, stand-up comedy is a form of artistic expression, period. Just I've had this discussion, a lot of people rap music, gangster rap music, hip-hop, a lot of people don't even know, this is how old school I am. Rap stands for, that stands for something? R-A-P? You ready? I'm going to break some knowledge on you. It's rhythm and poetry.
Okay. Oh,
It's rhythm and poetry.
Who was that band that came out? Or not band, but the rap group.
Old school, new school.
Old school. Dead Poets or something, or I forget.
Dead Presidents?
There was
Furious 5, Grandmaster Flash.
No, but before them, I shouldn't even bring it up. I know, I remember studying it in college. There was a group, they did speaking poetry with rhythm. They're kind of
Well,
early rap type of group. I forget what they were called.
The original shit, more or less, was like, and I think even actually Biz Markie, who we actually saw here in San Antonio a couple of years ago, down at, the shoe shop on Broadway. I don't think it's there anymore. Soul Boutique. Do you know where? What's that place called? You know where the AT&T building is, Broadway and Hillebrand, right?
Yep.
Okay. You go like a couple blocks south, Boardwalk on Broadway. That's one of the restaurants there. That shopping center.
Soul Boutique, yeah. That's
Soul Boutique, yeah, it's still there. Okay, cool. I have a T-shirt I bought from there. A big shout out if anyone's in San Antonio, go Soul Boutique, because the guy, the owner, is like cool ass.
Yeah, it's still there.
Cool ass dude.
They're still there. Actually.
And if they moved, look them up. Soul, it's SOLE, Soul Boutique.
If they moved, it was recently, because I know I've seen the shop.
Yeah, same here. And but the owner's a cool ass dude, and he brought in Biz Markie for like this promo show. Really? Biz Marquie's like DJing in the shop. At the end of the thing, there's like 20 of us chilling with one of the greatest hip hop legends, DJs of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time. And we're just chilling, dude. Chilling with Biz. Nobody beats the Biz.
Yeah.
Well, I think Biz came out of the same scene around New York City. But the idea was that you had house parties. Well, in the 70s, you're having house parties, you're playing records, you're playing vinyl. You think of the vinyl player. I have a huge vinyl collection. And hook you up straight out of Compton. I got the original vinyl LP. Got it all. And so you have these vinyls, and over time, I mean, obviously people are just innovating. They're trying shit out. They're realizing they can take two different record players and kind of create a mix. That makes a lot of sense, right? And then over time, they realize, like, we can create loops, or we can get instrumentals, old funk beats. So, like, if you know, like, most gangster rap, like, NWA is a perfect example. Like, you listen to all their songs, it's all these great 70s funk samples.
Oh, yeah.
Like, old school classics, because Ice Cube, my mind's blanking now, MC Ren, everybody else in NWA, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E. If you think about it, all their uncles, so like when they came out, they were all around like 18, 19, 20, I think, in like 89. All their uncles were old school funk dudes. You know what I mean? Like those are the guys bringing music to the picnic. And by the way, let me just holler at some people that if you grew up like super Cracker Jack, white bread, like waspy style, like you don't know anyone with any flavor, you don't know anyone from a minority group, you don't know people from other countries, you don't realize that like in a lot of these other cultures and communities, like, the whole family from top to bottom parties together.
Oh, yeah.
Old uncles, they're down with the new shit, they're down with the old shit. Like, it's not like the white bread, it seems like it's very stratified.
The kids go and hang out there, and the parents stay there. Yeah.
I grew up, like,
I definitely had that experience. My dad's, or both of my parents' family, older school families hang out together. I've seen that with like some
Italian style.
I've seen that with some like redneck families where like the whole family hangs out together. But then in some suburban areas, it's like, all right, the kids are going downstairs, the parents are upstairs.
Well, it's funny because I would take a guess that if you took a lot of those redneck families, you went back a little bit in their history, they're probably Scottish or Irish. Which always historically, and especially the South, were much more settled by Scot-Irish people anyway, which are more family-centric and more like party-centric and dance-centric and music-centric. But when you look, this is really funny, like it's a great case study or comparative analysis to make in international studies, is like, look at Southern Europe, let's go Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, okay? It's all in the South, right? So just have an impression in your head. Compare that to Germany, Finland, Sweden, England. There's a big difference. The big difference is one is like laid back, likes to party, likes to hang out, no big deal, and weather too. Well, I think weather definitely affects.
Oh yeah.
But it's funny because the exceptions to that are Irish and Scottish.
Yeah, that's true.
They're much more like Italian. They're much more like Spanish. They're much more like we're gonna get together. So when you look at old American history, you find that really it's the English who fucked everything up. You know what I mean? And like, I'm genetically, unfortunately, a lot English, but I mean, it goes all the way back as Irish and Basque on both my family sides. But it weeds through a bunch of English bullshit. But it's the English sensibilities that are all about the law and order, the control, the dominating other people, and that's American history. Yeah, because when you go back, and I think we may have talked about all this before, but like, dude, I can't stop talking about Thaddeus Russell renegade history to America, to the United States.
You mentioned.
Look, I mentioned the book a lot. You got to read the book. If you don't want to read, that's cool. Don't read. Go search Drunken Taoist. This is my boy Daniele Bolelli. I love this guy. Do you ever listen to his podcast?
Not very much. I've heard it before, but no, not really.
I had to give a big shout out, man. Like, I love his mind. He's a beautiful person.
Yeah.
And really I just love his perspective. Very
smart.
Over there on the coffee table, I've got 50 Things About Religion book.
Oh, yeah.
You're not supposed to know. Excellent.
Yeah. I've
Go
heard
buy
him talk about that a lot. That's one of the interviews I've heard with him talk about.
You gotta get it. It's like $8 on Amazon. Really? You get the Amazon Prime. I feel like I'm Joey Diaz right now. I'm selling you. I'm not even making any goddamn money. What's my referral code? It's suck your dick. Is what it is. It's that you come. All lowercase. That's right. I love it, dude, because he'll always put the check on Lee. Shout out, Lee. We love you, Lee. We love you, Lee, man. I'm really proud of Lee. Like, it's gonna. Is it weird? Like, do you see this, like, the progression of him becoming more confident, more...
Yeah, because I feel like I'm in a similar state almost.
Oh, That's interesting.
So I've
I don't
recognized,
see that in you, so that's interesting.
Well, I've recognized, like, he's a little... I think he's a year younger than me. I feel like I relate to him a lot, where if I was in his situation, I'd be reacting the same way to dealing with being in that position in terms of what he's doing with his life. And he works a lot. I respect him a lot. But yeah, I relate to him a lot, and I definitely see the progression in how he's kind of gotten more comfortable.
Is that true in the lady sense as well? Holler at your girls.
In that sense, I think I'm not gonna follow his lead on that.
But you know, it's cool though, man, to watch him like step up, and you can see like this growth, and because
it's a weird connection.
It is a weird connection because I've been listening to church. When I say church, by the way, I'm talking about church what's happening now at Mad Flavor, Joey Diaz, a.k.a. Coco, a.k.a. the baddest, awesome, cute motherfucker on the planet. You go check his shit out. You go Ustream it. Ustream, church what's happening now. You watch the video live. And I wake up. I make breakfast. I got church. I got the video on. It's on Ustream. I am laughing my ass off, dude.
I need to watch it live.
I
need to.
I've only watched live maybe like twice.
Okay.
But it's a whole different energy. But I always watch the Ustream video.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you do the Ustream video, you gotta realize it takes like 2 minutes or a minute before the video comes on. And so it just shows the animation of his face.
Yeah.
And so, like, at first, I was like, oh, there's no fucking video. I turned it off.
You thought it was just audio. Okay.
And then one day, I accidentally just left it on. And I'm like, oh, shit. Joey, where's Joey? Uncle Joey. We say Tio Joey down in San Antonio because it's Spanish. Yeah. Hey, did you listen to Rogan recently? They were talking Red Band about coming back to Texas.
No.
And Red Band was like, oh, we need to get back to fucking Austin. We need a Texas tour. He's like, we're going to hit Austin. We're going to hit Houston. We're going to hit Dallas. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, San Antonio. I'm sorry, but I think San Antonio has, as of right now, you tell me, do you think I'm wrong? San Antonio might have the most well-connected DeathSquad support group
we talked about it
in
last
Texas.
time.
In Texas.
I think Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, all those guys would sell out really well in San Antonio for a whole weekend. I don't think they know it just because Austin's a little bit closer. Traditionally, it's the coolest city to go to. But I think if they came here, they would see, holy shit, like we sold out, and we had great crowds.
Great crowd, and it's great crowds with flavor. Because it's San Antonio. Go fuck yourself. It's the only town in Texas that's majority not Cracker Jack white. And I appreciate that. I like the flavor. We've got good flavor in the town. We've got good, just like, some of the nicest people in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And some of the most laid back, relaxed. But I'm telling you...
Some of the most uneducated, too.
Uneducated. Most pregnant. I saw a survey when we first moved to San Antonio from D.C. that San Antonio was #1 in the fattest, like one of the fattest cities in America.
Which has changed.
But it's also, at that time, was one of the most sexually satisfied cities in America.
Yeah.
So you see, like, did you ever see that Seinfeld episode where George Costanza is like, he wanted to combine eating the best food, so I think he had pastrami. He had the TV on, and he's having sex.
And at the end of the episode, he fucks that chick in the kitchen. Yeah.
You had to, like, I'm sorry, like, I know that a lot of younger people, like, probably hate on Seinfeld, like, this stupid, because it's got a laugh track, and it's so old school.
Yeah, it's kind of old school.
But you know what? The actual humor and the art put into it, it's hands down one of the most intelligent shows ever put out on network television, the history of network television.
I love it. I've been a huge fan of Seinfeld since I was young. I remember when I was younger.
Well, you know that episode, so I'm already impressed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've seen every episode. I've watched them all multiple times.
Dude, I got this fucking... Someone gave us the fucking Seinfeld, like... DVD game. No, the game.
Oh, like
the fucking board game.
It's like the...
It's called
Seen It. Yeah,
you saw that?
No, I have not played that, but...
No doubt, but I've seen every single... Seinfeld's like a learning about life lesson.
Have you watched Curb?
Dude, Curb...
Yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm's good.
I'm going to tell you that I like Curb better because it's uncensored.
Yeah, I think it was much... It was like Seinfeld without the handcuffs or without the, Yeah. Yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm's great. And Larry David, you feel like you're getting the raw version of what... Seinfeld's kind of the polished version of what he was trying to do. So that, I love...
Definitely.
Both shows are great, and they're both different, and I think they're both equally really, really well done shows. Seinfeld was just the commercial version of
That's it. That's a great way to put it, man. That's a perfect way to put it. Curb, and Seinfeld too, but probably more Curb, I could watch the same episode over and over, and it's still funny. And one of my favorites is when he had to pick up the hooker to get to the Dodgers game, so you could be in the HOV lane. And you know what's funny? This is how deep I go. I'm a huge Woody Allen fan. And as far as I know, I've seen every single one of his movies at least once.
I haven't seen any of his stuff. But
I've seen most of his movies twice, or more. But I think it's Deconstructing Harry, and I may be wrong, but Larry David was inspired by Woody Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Woody Allen had the exact same bit in one of his movies, and I think it was Deconstructing Harry. He had to pick up the prostitute. It was actually a black chick, and she was a big mama. She hooked it up, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Larry David knowingly said, "I'm going to take that bit."
Yeah, and I'm not even saying he's stealing. I'm just saying
I mean, he may have just knowingly said, "I'm going to steal it and use it because it's a really funny concept. I don't care. I'm going to use it." But
I think most I think most people don't understand that Woody Allen, he got to start in stand-up.
Yeah.
And it's old school, vintage, retro. It's hard to find. You probably on YouTube can find it.
That's how Larry David was too.
It's really good. It's really good. But Woody Allen's weird how there's a huge portion, a segment of the population that refuse to even give him a chance. Because they're like, oh, he slept with his daughter. He wanted to do you know about all that?
Yeah.
It wasn't his daughter.
His stepdaughter?
It was his adopted stepdaughter.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's kind of strange, yeah.
It may be strange, but if he wants to do it, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Why do you care? Why are you in his business? It's not your life.
I don't know. I need to watch some of his stuff because my impression of his movies was always these are off the wall type of movies. They're just too strange. And I haven't watched any, but just the cover. I remember looking at and seeing the covers of his VHS tapes at the video store and thinking that looks like a weird movie. And I know it's a comedy, but it looks like a really weird movie. and it was kind of like, I think he had like a cult following, maybe, is more than a
I'm
mainstream
part
following.
I'm part of the cult.
So,
yeah.
and I'm 25. I think I was a little bit too young to get into.
I think I was a little too young, except that when we first moved, like we were living in Mexico and Playa del Carmen on the beach, which why I left.
Happy to see anybody.
Why I left, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But when we were living there, we're like, well, we got to move somewhere in the U.S. because I was finishing my master's degree down there and doing Spanish stuff, and so it was like, well, let's just move to D.C. Like there was a lot of reasons, but we were like, we're moving to D.C. We didn't have any money. We didn't have a job. We didn't have anything. We had some credit. Like, that was it. So we take off. We go to D.C. And we're on, like, the ultimate low budget because we're just looking for jobs for, like, 6 months. Trying to figure shit out. And the job I got was the one on Capitol Hill. So that's all that shit. But in that 6 months, dude, when you don't have any money... When I'm saying you don't have any money, I'm saying I have zero income coming in. Zero. Every single thing I spend is a credit card. That's how I was living back in the day. You know, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to move to D.C. I don't give a fuck. I got credit cards. By the way, don't do that. Well, do it, but
know what you're getting into.
let me know if you get too deep because there's a lot of solutions. And you don't have to file bankruptcy. You can work out some deals and negotiate your debt, which is a whole other conversation to get into. But you can work with credit card companies and stuff. If you owe money... where literally on average, you pay about 20% on the dollar to just settle it. You go, I'm going to settle this with you so we don't have to we don't have to do any other bullshit.
Up some payments.
Do it, yeah. So just do it. Don't ever feel like, I guess it's just something to tell people. I think a lot of younger people don't realize this. If you feel trapped by your debt and you feel like owned by it, you feel controlled by it, you feel like it's going to be with you forever, and there's nothing you can do about it, shoot me on Twitter. I mean, holler at me. I'll talk to you one-on-one. It's at Mind Novelty. But you can literally work directly with your debt companies. Whoever it is, credit card, it doesn't matter, phone debt, and you can just work out a deal, negotiate it, and pay like 20% of what you owed. You're not going to have that card or that credit anymore, but you don't have to file bankruptcy.
Yeah, if you're upfront with, this is how much I'm making, this is what I'm able to pay, I'll pay this, they're going to say, okay, that's
it's a better deal for them.
It's better than nothing.
Because when they sell, like what...
Because trying to repo your stuff and do all that, to them, I mean, they're probably going to get shit from that, and they have to pay money to do that.
That's right.
So,
they don't make any money on it.
Like, so, I mean, there's no incentive for them to try and
if you've got a collector calling you that's not your credit card company, and they've sold... So they took your debt, they sold it to a collector's agency. Yeah. They sold it for pennies on the dollar.
Oh, yeah.
Pennies. So we're talking about 20%. So, but anyway, I totally got to way off the fucking track, man, with that. I just hate that idea that someone feels like they're trapped. You don't have to be trapped. The system may feel that intense, but there's ways to work through it, is all I'm saying. Yeah. We were talking about Woody Allen, man. Well, with Woody Allen, one of the catches is, so we're in D.C., and I don't even know if you can do this anymore. This is how fast things are changing and evolving. We didn't have money, so we couldn't even really afford to go to Blockbuster to rent movies. Because that $4, that was like $4 towards a dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like something. That was money that I could have spent towards a need. And where we go to the fucking library.
Oh, yeah.
Renting free DVDs. For whatever reason, the library there in Arlington County in Virginia had the Woody Allen collection.
Because he was like an intellectual.
That's right.
I was saying, he had like this weird, I don't know. It was like
very philosophical. So like,
yeah.
If you don't like to think, you probably won't like the majority of his movies. And I'm not saying that in a condescending way. I'm just saying, like, if you're not into philosophy, you're not into, like,
if you want to get drunk and watch a comedy, it might not be.
That's not it. Go watch, what the fuck did we watch? White Chicks. Come on. Go find Bobcat Goldthwait's new Sasquatch movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Find some silly fucking movie.
Yeah, more jovial.
I'm trying to think what we just watched recently. I saw Identity Theft. I wasn't too impressed.
I watched Super Troopers the other night.
I like Super Troopers though. That's old school. I like that. Because that group of guys, that's like a comedy troupe.
Yeah, they did Club Dread.
Yeah, which is kind of cool too. Like, I respect that kind of comedy for sure because they're being artistically silly. Yeah. What I hate is like commercially silly. You're going, you've processed through focus groups.
Like this is a tagline we know.
Yeah, this will make people laugh, so we're gonna say this. I'm like, I want someone like Joey Diaz who says what the fuck he wants to say whenever he says it.
You probably never seen Big Bang Theory.
I've had a lot of students recommend it to me. So, what's up?
To me, it's like the ultimate like commercialized, canned writers.
Oh, so not good.
No, not at all.
I should not say what students recommended.
It's very popular, but maybe I don't know if that connects any dots for you or not. But
well, I've had like students. I mean,
to me, it's a commentary on nerds being nerds and making fun of people for being nerds, kind of. But so people who aren't smart think it's funny because they don't understand the humor, kind of there's a lot of punchlines that are meant to be like something that you wouldn't understand because the person's so nerdy and they say something that you don't understand and they're being serious.
Yeah.
And so you think it's funny because they're being serious, but you're kind of laughing at them for being serious about something that they're saying that's intelligent. And not everything it says is intelligent, but that's the perception that they're putting off. So I don't really like the show just because I think it's typical kind of...
Too processed.
It's just very processed, and it's just making fun of people for being smart to a degree.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, I'm glad you said that to me, because I had...
But it's also making fun of people for being dorky and being nerdy, too, which maybe I relate to, I don't know. But,
well, I have no problem letting people know I'm so it's not, nerdy as fuck. Like, I'm such a...
Yeah, I've watched it. You should watch it because it's a very popular show and it's an interesting phenomena almost because it's very different than any other comedy out there in terms of the subject matter.
How does that compare to... I get a lot of other people, like, I call them the youngsters, the children in my classes. I've heard Big Bang Theory's popped up, and then a lot of other people have brought up Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
To me, they're completely different ends of the spectrum. Always Sunny is a group of people who, I believe they submitted the show to FX in a contest and won the contest. They submitted a pilot. Yeah, they submitted a pilot to FX in a contest, won the contest, got a deal to do like more episodes, like six episodes, and they parlayed that into 5 seasons or whatever. Very artistic, theatrical type of show about people who, it's kind of ridiculous, like over the top drinking, over the top debauchery type of stuff.
I like it.
You would love that. I think you would love that show because that requires
a much. What is TBS?
That's on FX.
FX. Do you feel like it's censored?
No.
I'm always wary because I don't want it to be censored.
No, I mean that show really. I mean, I don't know if it's censored or not. I don't know what they're writing and what they're.
But the expression of it, you don't watch it and go like.
No, it's a more authentic
show.
Some
fucking executive said you can't do that.
much more authentic type of script compared to Big Bang Theory. I mean, they're completely opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to the writing. Completely, it's written by the actors in the show.
Always Sunny?
Always Sunny, yes.
Really?
It's produced and written by the people. And I may be wrong. I'm sure there's probably been some other writers who contribute, but the core of the show and the first season, maybe the first couple seasons, written by the people who perform on the show. Dude. That's a show I would highly recommend, definitely, to anybody. And some people may not like it. They think it's kind of ridiculous, but I think that show is much more... It's a dumber... The concept is like dumber people, but the humor is more highbrow, I would say. And more intelligent people are going to respect that show more. Much more talented actors, much more talented writing, in my opinion.
Well, I think the whole of what you said of... Too. Few things I respect more are like... I don't know the right word to use, but... Like, do you watch Louis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Dude.
Always Sunny's much more on that thread.
Louis like genius. Like, I love anyone. So now this makes me really respect the Always Sunny concept, because someone who writes, produce, direct. That's Woody Allen too. So you come back full circle. Write, produce, act, direct. Like, you have said, fuck everybody else. Fuck the system. We were talking UFC earlier. This is funny. It all connects, right?
Yeah.
UFC took the opposite route. They said, you know what? We're going to outsource a lot of our shit to this retarded mega corporation called Fox. They're going to put some ridiculous robots that are dancing around with, like, NFL football music. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? This is an MMA fight. Like, how's it go?
that song is, like, blazing.
I hate that song, dude. I hate it. I hate it.
I love it, man. I love football.
I love
song
football.
is like that song I mean, it works. That works. I'm not saying it's good, but it works.
Does it work for the UFC though?
No.
Does it work for the
No,
UFC?
I
all right, that's all I'm talking about.
Yeah, no.
Football. We're not talking about football.
No, we're not.
I mean,
but
you know,
that song does get me pumped a little bit. I'll admit it.
Gets you a little hard. Get you ready for some action. Save that cha-cha.
No.
Hey, you know, I was gonna say this earlier. Is if you go to the drunken Taoist.com, but it's with a T, so the drunken Taoist, but it's pronounced Taoist. It's episode 13. Thaddeus Russell, quote, "My roundhouse kick can break a historian in half." That's with Daniele Bolelli. This may be one of the most recommended podcasts that I know, that I can say. I mean, there's a handful, like Dennis McKenna and Rogan was epic.
Yeah.
Absolutely epic. Thaddeus Russell, Daniele Bolelli, epic. Actually, you know what, dude, and we were talking about this, the Sex of Dawn. Dude, Chris Ryan, I love Chris Ryan. Like, there's a lot of people that it seems like that hate on some of his ideas and shit, but, like, I'm thinking, I've listened to a lot of this guy. Like, I listened to all 3+ hours of him and Stanley Krippner when they did the road trip. So, did you watch the road with Stanley and Chris Ryan?
Yeah.
Well, the road trip from San Francisco down there, they just recorded themselves talking in the car.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
And so if you go to... no, this is Chris Ryan's, Tangentially Speaking.
Oh, okay.
That's his podcast.
Okay, I don't think I listened to one with Stanley Krippner and Chris Ryan on Joe Rogan's.
Yeah. So Stanley's Stanley's from San Francisco. So they took a road trip, Chris Ryan and Stanley, to LA area to record with Rogan. The road trip down, they recorded 3+ hours of them in the car,
just them two,
doing a podcast on the road. Dude, Stanley Krippner is...
That's pretty cool.
He's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Like, the dude knows so much and knows so many people. My point is that that's a great conversation to listen to. But, anyway, Thaddeus Russell. So I always give a shout out, because I like Daniele. Like, he's, man, like...
Check out that. What's the book called? Renegades?
Let's go back over here. It's Renegade History of the United States.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I have not.
That's Thaddeus Russell. Look, here, that's all I gotta say. If you think you know a lot about American history, then you need to read this book so you can just check yourself. You can go, did I really know all this stuff? And then challenge maybe some of your ideas. If you don't know anything about American history, but would like to engage in a book that's extremely well written, well sourced, from a very respectable, credible author, understanding a part of American history that you were never taught, and all of a sudden, like, you're going, dude, I should know something about fucking history because I'm ridiculous. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
You need to go read his book. I mean, it's probably like $12 on Amazon, $15.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get Audible. You know, if you like some podcast dude, click their Audible link, sign up for a free month, you download Thaddeus's book. You download Chris Ryan's book too. And then the link you click through, so maybe it's Duncan Trussell's. I like Duncan. Duncan's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Like, go to Duncan's website, click his Audible link, he gets $15, dude, if
Yeah.
you sign up. That's just a way to tip these people, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
I love Joey. Like,
And it's good products. It's not like they're just selling you
that's
shit.
it.
Or, yeah.
Testicle Testaments. I'm about to buy that shit.
I bought a bunch. I bought first 3 or 4 of those.
Did you? Yeah, so I'm going to buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
I bought Ari's stand-up. I bought Rogan's stand-up. Like, I'll support all these dudes, man. Like, they deserve it. They're working really hard to put good shit out that I appreciate. Anyway, Curb Your Enthusiasm, dude, maybe one of the best shows of all time. All time.
It's pretty good.
What do you think's better than... Oh, do you ever watch any Ricky Gervais?
Yeah, the Ricky Gervais
watch-
show or the...
Well, that, or do you ever watch Extras?
I've seen some of them. Yeah, it's funny. And the original Office is hilarious, too.
Fuck the American Office.
Yeah, the
It's
original
so
Office.
stupid.
When
the
you
American
see-
Office is stupid.
I think, yeah, when you see Ricky Gervais play
Makes me
that part...
mad.
and
It
then
makes...
yeah.
Like, you know how mad...
Steve Carell does a pretty good job, too. But Ricky Gervais, I think, he
If-
set the stage.
If Ricky had never done that,
Yeah.
and Steve came from scratch with that,
Then he'd be
I would
like,
say
yeah.
Steve Carell is one of the most badass comedians
Yeah.
of all time. But he did.
Obviously, he caught, yeah.
The first season of The American Office is
it's exactly...
word
Yeah.
for
Oh,
word.
they totally ported it, yeah. Completely ported the
I
whole
was...
season.
Dude,
I've
like, you don't
watched
understand,
both.
like, I was obsessed when the original Office came out. We were watching that like crazy. And I was like, this is one of the most genius comedy things ever put out. And I love
I got
Ricky.
the worm in there, dude.
What is... Oh, yeah, that's probably the
I got
little
the
thing.
worm.
The
Enough to
loquat
drink
worm.
that?
Yeah, you gotta drink that shit. That increases testosterone like 300%. You know, that Office, and then I remember, like, oh, there's gonna be an American Office? I'm really excited about this. I want to check this shit out. Dude, that first... I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
I was like, this is gross. This is gross. They didn't even try to change it.
They didn't do it. It was the exact same characters, exact same
It was so
script,
weak.
yeah.
It was... Like, I have this problem. This is me, right? Like, I can get on these Joey Diaz style rants about... Okay, example. And it just lost my train of thought. Who's the Swedish movies, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Oh, yeah.
Right? The original Swedish versions? Badass, epic,
Books,
awesome
too.
movies.
The books are
And of course, the books are supposed to be really good. I've not read the books, but a lot of people say
Yeah.
it's really good. Why
the
the
American
fuck?
version was good, too. I saw the American version. I didn't see anything else, and the American version was good.
Yeah, okay, right. I'm not going to hate on it. But here's my point is,
Yeah.
where are you out on the creativity spectrum and the innovation spectrum when you're not taking something from 50 years ago from Sweden or like some old vintage retro movie from Italy, like Django or something?
Yeah.
You're taking something that's like 2 years old, that's already worldwide and internationally recognized as a super quality movie, super entertaining. I knew about it before the American version ever was started out. I watched it. It was really good. 2 years old, right? And now I got to make an American version. You know the only reason I'm making the American version? Because Americans are... Not all Americans, of course. Too many Americans are so fucking retarded, they can't read a subtitle at the bottom of the screen. And it makes them upset because they gotta read. Why? I'm just supposed to be reading. It's a movie. I ain't supposed to be reading something. Like, yes, you are. You can read something, and it's okay. You're still gonna like the movie. And actually, it's a... I don't know. I think it's kind of a... It takes like 30 minutes, like if you're not used to subtitled movies.
Well, yeah.
It takes some time to get into, but once you get into it, your brain does not separate the difference.
Yeah. No, you're right. If you can read.
If you can, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you can't read, I understand. I get you. Let's do it in English.
Experience
Let's do it in
too.
English.
I think it's an experience too, just to hear other languages.
Dude,
that
no
you
doubt
can't.
about it, man.
You'd be a fool to pass that up so much.
I love watching, like, you know, I speak pretty good Spanish. It's not perfect, but I have no problem. You throw me in any Spanish-speaking country, I'm going to be totally fine. What?
¿Cómo está?
Yeah, you know, I don't know what you just said. But if... It's so awesome to be able to watch a movie in Spanish. And there's some really good Mexican movies. I'm going to use the shout-outs. It's called La Ley de Herodes. Herod's Law is one of the best Dude, this is an all-time great movie to me. It's a Mexican movie that's about the systematic corruption.
Isn't that the law book, Herod's?
Well, back in the day, like old school,
Okay.
like Herod. I guess it's King Herod,
Okay.
Bible times, but it's about this politician in Mexico who thinks he's going to be honest, upright, all this stuff. He's going to fix the corruption problem. So he becomes this mayor or something of like a small little town. Well, the problem is the system of the town is corruption. That's the entire system. It's not a handful of people, it's everything. And so the whole point of the movie, and it's a comedy, so it's hilarious, and it may be one of the best expositions on this concept that I've ever seen in my life. But it details how the system eats people. It swallows people, and it changes people. Some people think that that's what's happened to Obama. I don't buy it personally, but it's possible. It's possible that who he was when he was a senator was really him. As a possibility.
Yeah,
If you follow this. As a possibility. He's saying
It is.
He's saying that the program that was just exposed in the NSA when he was a senator, absolutely wrong. Absolutely unconstitutional. Absolutely unacceptable. He's president, he's changed his mind.
Yeah.
A lot of people would go and say, well, that means there's some sort of elitist conspiracy pulling strings, telling him what to do.
You didn't have a choice. Yeah.
I don't believe that. I believe that the system itself doesn't allow someone to even get to that position without being open to saying, you know what, it's okay. Whatever I gotta do, let's do it.
As long as I'm the president, tell me what I have to do.
Yeah. There's a lot of, when you go to like deeper and academic levels of like political philosophy and political science, international relations, there's a lot of writing, a lot of research about the systemic approach to government and how, depending on the type of government a country has, it requires a certain type of person to ever become the top, whether it's prime minister, president, dictator. Yeah. Only X kind of person can fit. Everyone else, they just won't ever be able to make. Anyway, Herod's Law. And there's another one on Netflix, El Infierno? And it's about the kind of drug war, kind of in a more comical sense. But it puts it all in perspective, man, like all that shit. I don't know why I was talking about Mexico, but...
Well, the subtitles, another good
subtitles, that's it, that's why.
A good subtitled documentary, it's on Netflix. I think it's called Juro Dreams of Sushi. Have you watched it?
No, it's like a 5-star Netflix recommendation for me. No, I haven't. Yeah, so, do I need to watch it?
It's good. It's very inspirational in terms of influencing you to pick something or decide what you want to do and then be an expert at it and have the discipline to practice it every day. And maybe that's not for everybody, but it's from Japanese culture. This guy, they're interviewing this guy and following him around. He's like 80 or almost 90 years old or something. I think he's like 80-something, still making sushi every day, running this restaurant. He has a sushi restaurant in Japan that people pay like $300 American to go eat. And he decides there's no menu. You just go. He puts the sushi on your plate, one piece at a time. There's no sake. There's no beverage choice. You have like water and tea. And he just puts the sushi on your plate. And when he stops making it, you're done and you leave. And it's like he charges more than anyone else. And he's just like world renowned as a sushi chef or whatever, artist or whatever. And it's interesting. It just shows like he wakes up every day for like years and years in a row at 5 a.m. only taking off days for funerals and like really important holidays and all stuff. It's interesting. It's interesting. They talk about his sons too, following in his footsteps and opening their own restaurants and stuff like that. And there's a lot of it's subtitled. And I've always been kind of interested in Japanese culture, but that kind of exposes it, like, fully. But.
Well, you get a different, like, when you're able to watch, even a documentary, man, like, when you get to hear, there's something about the sounds of language that also communicates a message. And if you have an American English voice overdubbing it, you're missing a really huge aspect of what's being communicated. And that's some of the tonality, some of the ups and downs of their actual vocalization. And that's what I was saying, like with Spanish, and like even Italian, like I'm not the best in Italian, but I can get a lot of it. So when I watch an Italian movie with subtitles, it's fun because I can hear the inflection.
Really understand.
And the Japanese, you just go, well, shit, this is a fucking totally. And I will watch a lot of Japanese and Chinese and Korean. I love Korean movies too. Yeah, so dude, I've seen that on my.
Yeah, you should.
I gotta check that shit out.
And no, the best part of it too. Just on a side note, do you like sushi?
Yeah, I here's my thing on sushi. I've not lived in a place where I know I can get good sushi. Okay. So like even like I had a Japanese student, and I was asking him like, "You've tried all the sushi around San Antonio, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, these people take me and they say like this is good." It's like, "Is it good?" Like just be honest. Is it good? He's like,
"Yeah."
Nah. He's like, "It's not even sushi." Yeah. So I'm like, "Well, I've tried it all, but like I need to go to Japan and I need to go do it."
I would probably. I mean, I would definitely understand that. I wouldn't be surprised. I definitely have a different perspective, but
like basically he just laughed at me when I asked him.
So I guess part of the movie that I liked, or the documentary, is just seeing. It's like watching the Food Network kind of, and seeing like masterful dishes being prepared and all this, the way they do things. That whole part of it there was an artistry to the documentary. Watching him make the sushi, put it on the plate. You know, like all the stuff they do is really well made documentary visually, and the audio, and just seeing the food and the artistry of the food. That was another portion of it too. That I think a lot of people like, they wouldn't be entertained by that type of movie because it's maybe too.
Oh, you're not gonna be entertained, you stupid dumb fuck! Like, really, like. There might be.
Nothing's like happening.
You might be educated.
No one's. Yeah.
What if you're educated? What if you're inspired? Like, isn't that silly? Like, do you see that then? Obviously, you see that with people where. Oh, I'm not being entertained. I can't watch this anymore. And he's got subtitles. You ain't gonna read. You trying to read? You need to learn how to speak English. Like, I've heard that so many times. You don't understand how many times I've heard that kind of like sentiment. And I'm going, like you said, what if you just get inspired? Like, you don't have to give a fuck about sushi, but this guy is passionate.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just read, like, the stuff about the film, you know, like, obviously the guy's passionate about what he's doing.
What he's achieved, yeah.
That's inspiring. I love being around people who are doing their shit. Like, you know, and you should give a big shout out to yourself and your brother, David, with the group SRC, right?
GroupSRC.com.
GroupSRC.com.
Check it out.
And taking all that Reddit shit.
Yeah, check out Reddit, actually. That's what I would really like to shout out
So give a shout out to the handful of Reddit. So what you do is you have some... People don't know about Reddit.
Reddit is just it's basically forums with voting system attached, which has created a really good recommendation system for anything. And there's subreddits for anything. Food, men, women.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? There's actually, and it was an interesting fact, Twitter and Reddit have made porn almost untraceable for your IT administrators. You can go on Reddit and look at porn, or you can go on Twitter and look at porn, and your IT people have no idea. That's kind of a side. Just because there's no,
are there porn subreddits?
Yeah, there's. So that's what I'm getting to the recommendation engine that Reddit is that you can go and look at stuff that you can go on Reddit or you can go on Twitter and look at information that if you went to a direct website where they have the information, it would be blocked at your job. But you can go to Reddit and go to the subreddit for women in yoga pants, and you can look at that all day.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. There's a subreddit for basically every type of any sexually attracted thing to anybody.
Well, I mean, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, one of the popular memes is like food porn. earth porn.
Yeah,
You've seen those, maybe those Twitter accounts. There's Reddits similar to those. So Reddit is just a really good recommendation engine because people post things there, and then the followers of that Reddit, the subscribers of that subreddit, then up or down vote the post. So naturally, the things that are really good get filtered to the top. So it's a really good system just for filtering out the best content, the best ideas, the best questions, the best answers, whatever it is. And then the comment threads are managed the same way. So the best comments get upvoted to the top too on a particular submission. So you have, it's just a really efficient way to find out what the best ideas, the best submissions are for any topic or anything. So for instance, one of the things we've done is set up a Reddit account, Reddit for, I don't exactly remember what the Twitter is, but Reddit for Men. And that Reddit for Men Twitter
Savages?
account, that's
no,
different.
That's a
yeah,
Rogan.
there's Reddit for Savages, similar example, but it pulls content from 6 to 10 different subreddits. So the Reddit for Men will pull content from women in yoga pants. It will pull content from craft beer subreddit, from the grilling subreddit, from sports subreddit. So it'll pull content from what men will typically like, and that's kind of stereotyping people.
Is there like a masturbatory advice subreddit?
Don't know that.
Like
one.
knuckles
You
up,
could
knuckles
start
down,
that way.
like two hand, twisty turny. What was it? The
baton twirler.
the baton twirler.
Yeah.
Seeing Joey Diaz do this and say like as advice, call it Joey. I don't know. I don't know. Like he just said, like baton twirler.
Yeah.
You do that, you're gonna close the deal.
Yeah. One of the best ones though. One of the things I like the most is we set up one Reddit REDDIT for the number 4 Fink FINK, and Fink is one of our best friends from growing up, Zach Fink, just one of our friends. So we set up a Reddit for him, a Twitter account for him. We went and found 6 or 7 subreddits that he would like. Gaming. He's similar to David Asprey. He lost like 100 pounds.
Really?
A couple years ago, or 4 years ago now. So there's one about there's a subreddit called it's like a motivational subreddit, discipline type of thing. He's a Democrat, so there's a Democrat subreddit. Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
But we created this account, custom,
like nonstop for probably 365 days straight. And then at the end of 365 days of fucking himself, we're gonna do a one-way trip, not a round trip, a one-way trip to. We're just gonna fly over the jungles of Peru, drop him out in a parachute. We're going to say, until you've ingested 100 grams of mushrooms and drank 100 ounces of ayahuasca, you're not allowed to come back because you're a fucking Democrat. And by the way, if he was a Republican, I'd say the exact same thing.
Yeah, I know you would.
Who says they're a Democrat?
Well,
go fuck yourself. Oh, gee, you're making me mad. I'm sorry.
Zach's a good guy. He's not as bald as he used to be. But the point is that we made a Reddit account.
I was a Republican, so I can't hate. Like, I know. I was stupid.
Yeah, we made a Twitter account specifically catered to him. And what we did for Joe Rogan, we made Reddit for Savages, which is supposed to
Which is really cool, yeah, I like that.
To Joe, and it's supposed to appeal to any of his fans. And that pulls from the Psychonaut subreddit, which
which is really good.
Express, Psychedelic Frontier. I think they're involved with that. It pulls from the Libertarian subreddit. It pulls from some of the MMA subreddit, various things like that. And Joe Rogan has actually retweeted that account.
Has he?
Oh yeah, he's retweeted that account many times. And
cool,
that
man.
account has hundreds of followers. It hasn't blown up.
What is the account on Twitter?
Reddit for Savages. REDDIT, the number 4 Savages. SAVAGES.
Can they go to groupsrc.com and see all these?
Yeah, if you go to groupsrc.com, you can see all the accounts.
Okay.
And if you want
and follow all
if you want a Twitter account made for you, especially if you have followers, we would definitely make it for you. So you tell us what you're interested in, or if you know of specific subreddits you'd like to follow but you don't like to be on Reddit all day, let us know, and if you're willing to retweet it or if you have followers, we'll set it up for you, no problem. So
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of just tapping into what Reddit can do because like I said, Reddit is so efficient with filtering content, and it's not filtered by bots. It's filtered by people. It's filtered by actual people, and that's why the content's so good. And that's why if you have a good idea, if you have a good meme, if you have a funny photo, video, whatever it is, if it's really good and you post it in the right place and you do it the right way, it will get a lot of attention on Reddit. And then people will see it there and they'll share it. It's just it's like one of the best ways to make something go viral. If it's truly good content, it will go viral. It's not a place, because I've tried to do this in the past, because I've done a lot of linking, a lot of social bookmarking type of stuff, marketing stuff. If you just go and post stuff on Reddit to try and get links, or try and post, like people will just post comments to try and link their website and stuff, it won't work on Reddit, because people, if it's not really, really good content, it won't get filtered out to the top. It will just get left behind, and it won't get noticed. So
like if I put, like, would that be, someone has a blog site, someone writes a little article, like this, did you read, I think it was Psychedelic Frontier just did a article on discussing prohibition and cognitive liberty, and I thought that was your brother, David retweeted that from the Psychonaut, or that came out of the Psychonaut.
Okay.
That's bot-oriented, right?
Okay, yeah. We have a bot for the Psychonaut Reddit that only tweets stuff from that subreddit.
What does it tweet? Just like the top?
Just to clarify too, all of these Twitter accounts, they tweet the top submissions from the Reddit, from the subreddit. So when a subreddit hits a certain score, which is based on up and down votes, so if something has 20 up votes and 5 down votes, it has a score of 15. So depending on how active the subreddit is, we set the threshold to whatever it should be. Typically, we'll look at the top posts from the last 30 days and see what the score is of that, and that's what we'll set the threshold at.
Gotcha.
So it'll tweet about once a day. And if we have 6 different subreddits going, it will tweet 6 things a day. If it's just a Psychonaut subreddit, it'll probably do more like 2 a day maybe. So we'll set the threshold at what would tweet twice a day. So yeah, it's set up to only tweet out things that reach a certain threshold. So that Psychonaut one is only tweeting from that subreddit specifically. The Gary Johnson one that we set up only tweets from the Gary Johnson subreddit, and it automatically adds Gary Johnson's handle to the tweet, so it's brought to his attention every time. And same thing with Joe Rogan. A lot of his tweet at Joe Rogan.
So you had Rogan retweet. Have you had, from all the other subreddits, have you had any other people who were retweet?
We have one called Tippit, Tippit, which is a place to suggest things that you want to flatter, which is a new social...
That's right. You guys are big on the flatter, too. Which is a cool idea, man. I like it.
It's a social micro-donation.
But does Flatter integrate Bitcoin?
No, not yet.
See, I think that's...
It will someday.
To me, that seems like a problem if you're going to be this cutting edge, like...
Which is why we're considering experimenting with some Bitcoin tip
I am
things.
too.
Have you heard Bitcoin
I am
tip?
too.
Have you heard of Bitcoin tip?
I've been looking into some shit.
Bitcoin tip is a script that's run on Reddit where you can tip people for what they submit on Reddit with Bitcoin.
That's a good idea,
so we're actually because more people are using Bitcoin tip than they are using Flatter on Reddit, even though Flatter has the capability to be used on Reddit. Anyways, Flatter has retweeted some of the stuff that's come out of the Tippit.
Just so anyone knows, like Flatter it's FLATTR.com. Right? Okay.
Awesome system. You can just put a button on your website.
It's a cool idea.
People can just click the button and send you a portion of their monthly budget to you. So you set your monthly budget as $6. If you flatter 20 people a month, that's $6 we split up 20 times and be sent to all those people that you sent flatters to, which I think that is inevitably...
Who does the payment processing?
They do it, and they take a lot of money out of it.
How much do they take?
25 to 30%. Which it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot.
But you get tipped with PayPal for 3%.
But you
What would be the difference?
But you have to put your credit card information. You have to log in. You have to do all that stuff. You can't just click a button and send money.
I don't know if you had.
No, you're right. PayPal.
If you had money in your PayPal account.
If PayPal was smart, they would integrate the stuff that Flatter's doing into their system.
Which means they'll probably buy Flatter.
Potentially.
Probably.
Potentially.
But
Flatter, because there's so many micro payments of 25 to 30 cents, they have to process all those small, and that's why PayPal, it's not as easy to do what Flatter does through PayPal. It takes a lot more time. You could Flatter 50 people in an hour if you wanted to. If you knew the websites, you went just clicking buttons and you're done. PayPal, you have to go, you have to log in, you have to say how much you want to tip them, all that stuff. It's a much more...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's a different process. But Flatter still has a lot of things to figure out, but they're on the right track towards...
But it's definitely a forward-thinking idea.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because I've always thought that, too. Like, what if you had that opportunity to be like, you know what? I can't even spend... Look, I get it. Some people can't even spend $5 for, like, a comedy special. But
you give 50
you got 5 cents?
Yeah,
no, 5 cents. I'm saying, like, 5 cents, 10 cents. Like, nothing. Like, nothing. You find a dime on the street... Go to your Flatter account, Flatter this person 10 cents. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, that stuff does build up. That's why I always say, like, if you really like these people, you like content from somebody, like a podcast or a comedian or whatever it is, like, I love supporting independent artists. And this is coming full circle. Maybe this is a good, like, little roundabout coming to the finish line here, right? Is, you know, like Woody Allen, that's one reason I'm a big fan, is because he runs his own shit. He has done the ultimate fuck you to Hollywood, to big movie studios, to big directors, big money people. Suck his dick. He makes a movie every year, and he does exactly what he wants. He writes what he wants. He records what he wants. That's right. He's an awesome dude. He's the best kind of dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, do his own fucking thing, because he knows, like, he's not going to be happy. And I feel like more people need to realize this in their lives. Like, you're not going to be happy. You might be making money, but you're not going to be happy. And when I say happy, I'm really meaning content. You're not going to be content until you're meeting the blueprint you have for yourself, for your life. Mm-hmm. And if you're upset, if you're depressed, if you're lonely, if you're sad, if you're hate yourself, you know what? Like 99% of the time, it's because you have a blueprint for yourself. You know what it is. Your blueprint for, like, say, happiness, right? And you're not meeting it. If you're not meeting your own ideal of your own future, you should be fucking upset at yourself. You should definitely not be happy.
Yeah.
That's it. And you know, until you learn how to, like, find your own passion. And definitely, so, like, don't take me wrong, I know you're in this position, there's a lot of people in this position, I've been in this position where, look, you know what, you graduate college, you got ideas, you got shit, but you know what, you don't have experience, you don't have your Rolodex, you don't have your resume, you don't have all this shit, so you know what, alright, I get it, you go do your thing, you check in, you do your job, you show up, you do what you gotta do to become, like, a very, what do I say, like a beneficial aspect to whatever that organization is. But over time, it's kind of like the Beatles, right? Like, I'm a huge Beatles fan. I love early Beatles. I like all Beatles. But the reality is, the best Beatles, in my opinion, is later Beatles. Because that was when Beatles had
they started to get their own,
full control, full autonomy. They're fucking going, I know this first, like,
I want to hold your hand.
Yeah, they're going down to Oaxaca in Mexico into the mountains, eating mushrooms from Maria Sabina down there, the original OG pimp psychedelic shaman warrior queen of Mexico. Like, this is how they're getting insights. They're going to India. They're getting insights. And now you've got Sgt. Pepper's, you got Abbey Road.
I love Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah, Sgt. Pepper's is my favorite, all-time favorite Beatles album. Not that their other ones are so good too. I can't fuck with it. But if I had to choose, it's Sgt. Pepper's. But because I think it's the most psychedelic, it's the most like free ranging, like.
Yeah, they made up a fake band. I mean, that was like.
Dude.
I still haven't heard.
I love the
like
Beatles.
I've still never heard an album like a band do that. Like,
No, dude, this fucking like seriously like. You gotta remember, you're younger than me. I'm not. I mean, I'm old. I guess I'm not that old. I'm kind of old, sort of not old. Sort of like in this middle range, I guess maybe. But I'll listen. Like I'll watch church. You know, and Joey's always talking about like old school bands, right? And it wasn't until like maybe mid-20s for me till I started like spending time and taking effort to go and like, who the fuck is Led Zeppelin really? Who the fuck is Pink Floyd really? Like, who the fuck are the Beatles really? Like, I knew the Beatles, but I knew early Beatles because that's what my parents were into, or my mom was into.
Yeah.
She wasn't into later
British
Beatles.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, slowly I started investigating. I go, fucking Doors, fucking, oh shit, dude, everything modern. Like, I'm not saying everything because I do like a lot of new bands too, but so much is just a fake bullshit wannabe copy of what was originally one of the most creative musical acts of modern world history. Beatles, Chuck Berry, I mean Led Zeppelin, like heavy metal, that's Led Zeppelin. You know what I mean? Like that's Zeppelin. Yeah. Pink Floyd, psychedelic rock, get the fuck out of here. You better go to Pink Floyd. You know what I mean? Like, get this shit together. You like poetry and music, you need to go to the Doors. And who was trying to defend us on Joey? They're defending like Nickelback. I'm like, look, here's the reason Nickelback sucks is they're a commercialized piece of shit. They're not like artistic giants of music. Like, if someone likes them, more power to them. I'm not gonna hate on them. But you're not gonna put them in the same category as these. Imagine you lived in the 60s and you're raised in a super conservative home, just like everybody was at the time. Like, let's say 1965. You're like, you start going crazy because you go like, I hate all this like systemic control. I hate the family control. I hate all this. They want me to be certain things. I don't want to be that. They want me to think certain ways. I don't think like that. They want me to be in this. So I'm just gonna go to San Francisco. I'm gonna get in the car. I grew up in Oklahoma. I grew up in Iowa. I grew up in Michigan. I'm gonna take off on a bus. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. I just heard there's some cool shit in San Francisco. My uncle was one of the original Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco, burnt out, barefoot, no home, no house, no job hippies. He's the original deal. He tells these stories to me, and they're pretty epic. Actually, he tells me a story that he came face to face, he says, with two Sasquatches in Northern California. So I don't know, whatever. My point is, if you come from those kind of places, today we have the internet. We can shortcut straight to the reality. Mm-hmm. But imagine you had no access to all this badass rock and roll music. So you're raised with this like gospel quartets, old school 40s music. You go to San Francisco, you get off the bus, someone goes, hey, here's a glass of Kool-Aid. Do you want some of this shit? By the way, it has this awesome thing called LSD. I don't even know what it is, but it's awesome. And we're going to go to this band, and this band is Creedence Clearwater Revival. And we're going to get fucked up. We're going to hear some good music. We're going to hear the Doors. We're going to check this shit out. We're going to... Who the fuck else have I been listening to lately? All these other indie, like, San Francisco old school bands. Yeah. But your mind's blown, dude. Yeah. Your mind's blown. You're in another total dimension. You're not... We don't experience that today. When you listen to Nickelback, you're not going to some other dimension of creativity. You're going to the most processed bullshit possible to the least common denominator. Yeah. More power to them. They should make money. I love them for that, but
that's why, and that's why I have to promote the technologies out there today, because you don't have to do what other people want you to do. You can do what you want to do because you have Twitter. You have Flatter is something that is early stages, but there's also GetTip. There's other ones, SentUp, I think, similar type of things where you can get paid by people, not have to go through the normal distribution channels. So you have Twitter, Reddit, Flatter. All these things are enabling people to be themselves and be an individual and not have to be an employee for somebody else. And I know it's just inevitable. The trend is people being their own companies, their own employees, and not having to work for somebody else to be able to sustain themselves. And it's inevitable, and there's no other way it can go. It just can't. Because as the smarter people get, the more they're not going to want other people to control them and tell them what to do.
That's a really good point. And with unlimited open access to information, it seems inevitable.
Yeah, it is.
I'm on that same page, man.
I don't know. Some people think we're right around the corner. Some people think we're a long ways away. I don't know, but we're going in that direction.
I think we need to, like...
No matter what.
We need to, like, as a future conversation... explore that, like where it's going, because this is one of my passions right now, is the concepts of like transhumanism, of real time evolution. Like by the time you and I, like let's just say we live to 80, by the time we're 80, we will be living in a reality that we could not be imagining right now. It's impossible. I absolutely believe that. And so...
that's almost a guarantee.
Yeah, I think that's kind of exciting, man. That's like a part 2 to the Oh Shit mini-cast. I think we go. We took this pretty good today.
Yeah,
and a good conversation as always, man. But look this shit up, man. If you listen, you know that I respect you, because you're like one of like 2 people in the whole world who sat through the whole thing. But it's really cool. And
I can think of at least 2 people that will listen.
At least 2? Alright, I got like 3, I think I know. So we probably get 5 maybe?
Yeah.
This is the first ever videocast. We're gonna call, I don't know, Oh Shit Minicast.
Put it on YouTube.
We'll put this on YouTube. Anywhere else I can put it. I'll post it on my site. You post it on your shit. And we'll do it. But I like this idea, man. We're here live. We're real people. Go fuck yourself. If you don't have a picture of yourself on Twitter, you can suck my dick, because I really don't care. Like, how am I supposed to relate to you? I don't even know that you're a real person. You know, there's all shitty, like, little AVI photos of bullshit. I'm like, I'm a real goddamn person. You can look me up, man. I'm real. NSA, come get me. I'm here. I'm not hiding from anybody. You come find me. Pulls out my house from the basement of the Alamo / my house. We'll hook that up. Bring a super chip next time. Be cool, man. But I always like talking to you. It's a good time. We had all that good grass-fed sausage. We had that good wine, low-claw vodka, some ciders, like raw milk, cheddar cheese, paleo, primal, low glycemic for our body. Get yourself in shape. Get it the fuck together. Get that shit out of your life. Eat good. You are what you eat. Take care of yourself. We love you. I'm going to turn you off right now. And peace out.